Hi, this is just a heads up that this video isn't for kids and is targeted towards the older side of the fandom. Again, like I've said in all of my humanization videos, I don't think the younger side would be interested in this, but you never know. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. First video of the year, and of course it's about Ninjago. Anyways, welcome back to this little series I've set up. Sorry that it's been a while since my last edition, but Voltron unfortunately grabbed my attention for longer than it should have. Honestly, it's kind of made its way out of my brain, but it was quickly replaced by Marvel rivals. But it's not going to get in the way of the next edition, I swear. Or maybe it will, only time will tell. Anyways, this time I'm working with Kai and Nia. I've been really excited to draw these two because they're my top two favorite characters in the show. And because I'm excited, I'm not going to draw on much stuff before we get into the notes. Like the last two times I did this, the video is going to split into parts. The first being Kai's original design, the second being his redesign, the third being his render drawing, and then rinse and repeat for Nia. Next is vocab. Do I need to cover this? I have two other videos where I cover this, but there could be some people who are only watching this one. Here's a condensed version. Canon describes an event that has happened within a story, such as Kai being manipulated into taking the Sword of Fire in the pilots by Lord Garmadon. Headcanon is just a bit of characterization or world building that the author hasn't established in canon, but a fan may come up with on their own. As an example, I'd like to headcanon Nia has a scar where she was hit with a Tiger Widow venom. Next, a warning! These humanizations are going to be based on my own headcanons on the ninja, so if you don't rock with somebody's headcanon being different from your own, this video isn't for you. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the video. Kai's always been my favorite character, so I'm really glad I'm starting with him. Let's just jump straight into age headcanons so we can get it out of the way. In my mind, the pilot episodes to Season 7 take place within the span of 4 years. Season 1 takes place half a yearish after the pilot, Season 2 follows not that long after. Seasons 1 to 2 take place over the course of a year. Season 3 takes place a year later, Season 4 takes place half a year after that, then Seasons 4 to 7 happen within the same year. There's a debate on how old the ninja are when they started, but I personally landed on 15 for Kai. That being said, I headcanon him as 15 to 19 throughout the run of the original series. So, general headcanon time. Kai and Nia are basically the only two ninja that I have like a set ethnicity headcanon for, and that's purely because I love projecting on my favorite characters, so I made them half Filipino. I headcanon the other half to be Chinese since Nia's wearing a jupao on multiple occasions, even if the show calls it a kimono, which it's not. Also, I hope I pronounced that right. Ninjago's weird relationship with Asian culture aside, I do not want to get into that. Let's talk about my Kai headcanons. As you can see, I added in Kai's scar that came with his LEGO figures pre-redesign, but it doesn't look very scar-like. I'll get to that later, but a little backstory on my scar headcanons. Back when I first rewatched the show back in grade 12, I had jumped around from headcanon to headcanon about his stupid scar because one, it doesn't even appear in the show, but his eyebrow notch does. And two, his scar and eyebrow notch switch sides in his redesign. So I spent a long time trying to make it work. So while I had originally been drawing him with his pre-redesigned scar, I really like to stick to canon as much as I can, so I tried to figure out workarounds for why he would possibly have an eyebrow notch but no scar. Ultimately, I decided he just did it to look cool. I know people who shave off or have shaved off a piece of their eyebrows purely for the aesthetic, and yeah, it looks really cool. I think I gave Jay the headcanon that he just shaves the slit to look cool, and Kai would absolutely do the same. I also had a pretty stupid reason for why he swapped eyebrows. I just thought it'd be funny if he had switched sides just to test out how the notch would look on the right side of his face rather than the left side. Obviously, this was during the phase where everybody was looking for Wu, their hair was changing, so I thought he probably would have wanted to mix more things up because he's the most interested in his appearance. So while he was trying to test out the notch on the right side of his face, something scared him, maybe like a loud noise, maybe one of the other ninja bursting into the bathroom, and the loud noise scares him while he has a razor in his hand, and he accidentally cuts his face, leaving a scar and giving him a permanent eyebrow notch. Now I've kind of switched it up a little. I like to think Kai got his original scar right before the series started. Like, the thing was fresh when Wu found him, hence why it's red in my drawing. I'm not too sure how he got it. Maybe he got it while blacksmithing, maybe he got into a fight, who knows. All I really have said in my little headcanon is that it fades away over time, like barely being visible at one point, and the notch it left in his eyebrow eventually grew back. He does still shave it off to look cool though. Anyways, yeah, you won't see it in the reference for his original design, maybe in his character busts. But yeah, I'm headcanon that the cut he got wasn't actually that deep, so when it faded, it really faded away. Like, it's really hard to see now. I'm a little conflicted on whether or not Kai should get his actual scar through the same stupid reason as before, or while he was in a fight. But I don't think it's that important to dwell on. Anyways, I think it's really funny that I had to sit down and draw a ton of alternative busts for the other ninjas since they just couldn't stick to one look ever. But Kai's just there. I've only made 3 busts for him, and 2 of them are in the next section. And the one here isn't even that big of a change. It's just him with pure red eyes because of the Staff of Elements. He wasn't even corrupted by the Overlord's dark matter. I hate him. Kai really is just some guy surrounded by people who either aren't human or weren't human at one point in time. Redesign time! So personally, I like to think Season 8 to 16 take place over the span of 3 to 4-ish years. Season 8 canonically takes place a year after Season 7, Season 9 takes place a week later. There seems to be a gap between Seasons 9 and 10. I'd say at most it's been half a year and at least a month. I like to think Kai is just about to turn 20 at the time of Hunted, but they're like a week or so off from his birthday, so he can still make his stupid "we're teenagers" comment to Jay. Then the 11-minute era takes place half a year to a whole year later, and the seasons up until Crystallized seem to take place basically one after the other, with little gaps in between. And then of course Crystallized takes place exactly 1 year later. So Kai starts off 20-ish and ends up 23 to 24. I headcanon that the merge happened 2 years after Crystallized, and the season starts up 3 years after the merge. That adds up to 5 years in total, so that makes Kai 28 to 29-ish. Kai very clearly mellows down once we hit his redesign, and I really wish we got to see that transition and learning to control his anger in real time. I don't know, maybe him trying to kill his dad in Season 7 made him realize how bad his anger issues can be, and maybe Zane gave him some tips on how to control it in between Season 7 and 8. We do get a bit of insight on how he helps himself relax when he's talking about moving through motions, but that's about it, and it wasn't even a technique he could have used in between Season 7 and 8 because Kai said Wu taught him the technique to help him grieve Nia. I don't know if I have much to say about Kai when it comes to this redesign era. He really didn't have much characterization other than the dumb one. I'm kind of glad his anger is coming back in Dragon's Rising though. It's something I missed about him. I missed his little flaw. I don't know if I have much to say about Kai when it comes to his redesign era. He really didn't have much characterization other than the dumb one during this time, and I really wish that hadn't been the case since he's always been my favorite. I don't know what it was with Little Mika and Fire users, but they would always be my favorites. When it comes to busts, there really aren't many changes that I made. I drew him with his eyes reacting to his element / rising dragon, and I was kind of right when I said the red would make him look evil. I think the white irises help make him look less villainous though. Adds a bit of, I don't know, something to it. And then his other bust is just his Prime Empire design that was honestly really underutilized. I wish they brought it out for more than just one episode. I want you all to know, I almost forgot to write a script for both Kai and Nia's rendered speed paints. That wasn't an important note, but it was important to me that you all knew that. Anyways, Kai. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I've always had a problem with trying to figure out how either of his hairstyles work. I don't know, spiky hair has always thrown me off, and I've always ended up drawing Kai's hair way too big. I finally managed to get a grasp on how to draw it though. A few months ago, I signed up for a reanimated project and was assigned with making the reference for Kai. I was given a specific color palette since we had to agree on how to draw him, and then I went to work on fixing how I drew his hair so the others didn't have to deal with my funky choice for him. If you go to some of my older Ninjago TikToks, you'll be able to see that his hair used to look a lot fluffier in my style. And every time I drew his hair, it would continuously get bigger and bigger. And honestly, it just didn't look good. So I'm really glad I fixed it to what it is now. I did do Kai a little dirty with his references though. Something just feels off about them. Not with the bust though. I really like what I did here. Don't worry about how I went through the whole drawing wondering why this specific pose looks so familiar, only to realize that I accidentally redrew a panel from my first TikTok. That's not important though. That's not important. But I like how this came out. I don't think I have any more Kai headcanons. I thought I had more than this. This is really surprising. Oh, this isn't a headcanon and more of an observation I made about Kai years ago. But has anybody else on here noticed that when somebody's trying to manipulate him, he closes his eyes and turns away? He did this with Garmadon in the Season 1 finale, Chen in Season 4, Nauticon in Season 6, and Crux in Season 7. People have pointed out that some of the other ninja do it too, but I think we all agree that Kai does it the most. I'm really trying hard to think of things to say, but I've already made a video about Kai and Nia before this, and I think I covered a lot of my thoughts on them, so I'm just like trying not to reiterate myself. Let's see, what else can I say about Kai? I think a big thing that people forget is Kai and Nia weren't alone for a lot of their childhood while Rei and Maya were gone. Like, Kai and Nia in Season 7 stated that they had babysitters. So, I don't know if those babysitters were being paid. I think it would be sweet if the villagers were just looking after Kai and Nia, because Kai and Nia in the comics seem to be on pretty good terms with them. Yeah, that's just a little thing that people seem to dismiss. And honestly, that's fair. Dismissing canon is a pretty common thing in fandom. But yeah, just thought I'd bring that to the light, I guess, while we wait for this drawing to finish. Nia time! I've seen a lot of varying headcanons on how old Nia is at the start of the series, but I think a lot of people seem to agree that she's at least 2 years younger than Kai. Or maybe it's just me who sees them as 2 years apart and I'm just spewing out false information. Who knows? Anyways, I headcanon her as 13 at the start of the series and 17 by Season 7. Definitely on the younger side of the group, but not the youngest. Again, that privilege falls to Lloyd for obvious reasons. So I'm not gonna lie, Nia was so boring in the earlier seasons. Obviously, she was just a side character and her Samurai X arc was interesting, before they resolved it in what couldn't have been more than 5 episodes later. Anyways, I'm not here to rant about Nia, I'm here to talk about my headcanons on her. And honestly, like Kai in the 11-minute era, I don't really have much headcanons for Nia for this era of Ninjago. I'm sorry, her being my second favorite is a recent development. I think the 11-minute era really did wonders for her character, unlike her brother, but that's besides the point. What I do like about Nia in the earlier seasons is that she had things to do outside of fighting crime. Again, this is because she was a side character. They reference the fact that she's an engineer from time to time in the 11-minute era and in Dragon's Rising, but that side of her was kind of just forgotten for the most part and given to Pixel instead, which makes sense since she's the new side character of the group, who only comes around time to time to help the ninja. I think all the ninjas' hobbies are kind of forgotten until they're important to the story, like Kai's blacksmithing history and Cole's cooking, which I'm a bit disappointed in. I think giving characters hobbies can always be fun and humanize them a bit. What else can I say about Nia? Oh, I mentioned this earlier, and I think I vaguely referenced this in my J video, but I like to imagine Nia has lasting effects from Season 6. I mean, she died, of course she isn't going to leave that unscathed. I mean, I gave Jay a new eye color because he damaged it. I think this is actually another common headcanon in the fandom, but I like to imagine Nia has a scar right where the Tiger Widow venom hit her, and like, she's been permanently marked by the thing that killed her, and now she has to be reminded of it every time she looks in the mirror. Anyways, I don't think I did much when it comes to busts. I drew Nia corrupted by dark matter, her dressed up as a kabuki, and her possessed by Delara. You'll see in the next video that I'm going to give Lloyd black sclera while he's possessed by Moro. And I didn't do it for Nia because there seems to be a way ghosts can mask their appearance for the most part. Like, Lloyd's appearance didn't change until Moro wanted to reveal himself to the ninja. So I just assumed that could also extend to Lloyd's sclera staying white. Anyways, I think that's all, so onto a redesign. I headcanon that Nia's 18 once Season 8 hits and ends up 21 to 22-ish by the time Crystallize hits. Then she's 26, 27-ish after the merge, and she's reunited with the team. I definitely have a lot more to say about Nia during this era than I do during the original series. First off, I really like how they doubled down on her temper. Nia's always been a bit hot-headed like Kai, but he had been the one with a shorter fuse in the original show. Although once Kai started to calm down a bit in Season 8, Nia seemed to start to get a little angrier, and after all the misogyny she experienced in the original show, I think she deserves it a bit. I don't have too many outlandish headcanons for her during this era. I like to think she still makes weapons and little machines for herself, but she doesn't have time to make anything grandiose anymore now that she isn't stuck on the sidelines. This is another really common headcanon, but I like to think that Nia has markings on her skin that were left over from when she became the sea. I've seen a lot of people headcanon that she also still has her water horns from when she became a water dragon. Personally, I draw the line at the markings. I like to keep things as close to canon as possible, even though this is a Lego show and everybody basically looks the same. So personally, I don't like including the water horns when I draw her, but they're so cute whenever I see them on any other Nia design. I've also seen people draw Nia with her hair transitioning into water at all times, and that's also really cool, so I stole it for myself. Not all the time, it just happens when she overexerts her powers or activates Rising Dragon. I like to imagine her bangs and tips of her hair begin to turn alongside her marks glowing, almost like the sea is threatening to take her back if she pushes herself too far. I drew it as a bust later so you'll be able to see what I mean. I don't think I did much when I came to headshots, just drew her with her glowing eyes, drew her with her marks, drew her glowing everything, I guess, after she's turned back from being the sea, and then drew her as the actual sea. I considered drawing her dragon form, but decided I didn't want to do that, as I suck at reptiles. I'm gonna be honest, I had so much trouble drawing her for some reason. Like, you'll see it, I'm gonna be messing around with her face a lot. I feel like the inverse happened with Kai, where I like how his bust turned out, but I hate how his references look. I think I've made peace with both Kai's references and Nia's bust, but what happened? Anyways, I think I forgot to mention this in the reference stage, but I gave Nia red eyeliner for her pre-redesign reference. I think most people know why, but for those who don't, Nia used to be drawn with red eyeliner in her official art in her original minifigure. I feel like she probably moved away from using red once her geese started becoming more cool toned, but I kind of wish they kept it. I forgot to mention this while drawing Kai, but last name headcanons. I know Zhang has been a pretty popular last name headcanon for these two for the last little bit, but I really can't let go of calling them Smith. I don't know what it is. Nostalgia, maybe? Because the fandom had been in mutual agreement for a long time about their last names being Smith. It's definitely nostalgia. I've hyphenated the two names before though, so maybe I'll stick with calling them Zhang Smith. Who knows? I also think this is the only drawing where I show off their shoulder pads from the 11-minute era, and honestly, not much of a fan. Well, they look nice. I'm just not much of a fan of drawing it since I hate inorganic shapes. They're so hard to get right. Now we're back to me trying to grasp at straws when it comes to trying to figure out what to say. I really wish they treated Nia better in the first few seasons. Oh shoot, I really don't have anything to say. I wish we explored her trauma related to becoming the sea a little more. I feel like Crystallized did. I just can't remember it because Crystallized isn't one of my favorite seasons. You wanna know what is one of my favorite seasons? Seabound. I am surprised. I expected my favorite seasons to be related to Kai, but they ended up being Skybound and Seabound. I know Skybound is a touchy subject for the Ninjago fandom, but as its own contained story before the timeline reset, I think it's pretty good. A little iffy with the Nauticon stuff, but other than that, I think it's pretty good. I'm so sorry, I don't know what else to say. You guys are gonna have to sit in silence for a little bit. Well, not silence, there'll be music, but you know what I mean. But yeah, here she is. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Like last time, I've set up little height charts to show off my height cannons for the ninja, both before the redesign and after. I thought about keeping Jay the shortest, but unfortunately decided against it and made Nia just a little bit shorter. But don't get me wrong, he may not be the shortest, but he is definitely still treated as if he is. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I love these two, and I'm so glad these Kai and Nia drawings came out alright. Do you guys have any headcanons for Kai and Nia? Please feel free to ramble about your thoughts on them in the comments. I try to reply to everybody and give you all a space to yap about your ideas. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video. I make art and commentary, and your support would mean the world to me. If you want to see more from me, both my Etsy shop and social media are linked down below. I think that's all. I'll see you next time. Bye!